The panelists, so at least you can get an understanding of who they are and know what to ask them and what to expect. So I think I'm going to start off with Kevin. I have Kevin Tuei, the one to my left. So Kevin Tuei is a senior cloud technology consultant, AI and ML practitioner, and certified educator with over 7 years of experience. He's the founder and leader of several tech communities, including the AWS user group, ANML Kenya, where he excels in event facilitation and community building. Kevin specializes in industry certifications, data analytics, UX, and problem solving, and actively participates in 2 professional associations, PMI Kenya and ISACA Kenya. Through campus outreach and speaking engagements, as technology leader, Solarwise Technologies Institute is dedicated to training Africans for careers in cybersecurity, AWS, DevOps, data science, and ANML. He represented Kenya at ALN in Kigali in 2023 and Africa at AWS reInvent 24 in Las Vegas. He aims to lead 580 projects. Cynthia is an enthusiastic cloud solutions architect and a passionate advocate for community-driven innovation within the AWS space. As a technical architect at NTT Data, she brings a wealth of experience in designing robust and efficient cloud solutions, from seamless migrations and deployments to modernizations. Beyond the whiteboard, Cynthia is an avid hiker, finding parallels between problem solving in the cloud and her personal pursuits in the mountains. She is particularly interested in the ethical considerations of AI development and making advanced cloud technologies accessible to a wider audience. Next up, we have Samuel Maiyo, to my most left. So Samuel is a seasoned cloud technical architect and software developer with deep expertise in architecting and deploying sophisticated cloud solutions tailored to diverse enterprise needs beyond foundational cloud principles. He is particularly passionate about building solutions that harness the transformative potential of emerging technologies, including advanced data platforms and generative AI, to unlock new opportunities for automation and innovation. Samuel believes that innovation and technology have the power to change lives, and he is committed to being at the forefront of that transformation. Then, our last panelist, Alvin Gitonga, the right. Alvin is an AWS solutions architect specializing in cloud optimization, bringing a decade of expertise in the technology landscape. He helps customers adopt and optimize cloud environments by providing best practice guidance and supporting AWS partners. Alvin empowers organizations to navigate successful cloud journeys, guiding them to unlock their full potential on AWS. So that is our panel of today. So we hope that you'll be attentive and you'll be able to participate in this conversation. So remember, our topic of today is AI and ML. You all know it's a very nice and upcoming topic and very nice technology. All the talk right now is about AI and ML. So don't leave this place with any questions. Make sure to ask any questions you have. As you've heard, they are like the small introduction, very impressive. So these are very qualified and very big people in the tech community. So we can now start off. Our first question of the day is, how do you see machine learning and AI transforming industries in Kenya and across Africa over the next 5 to 10 years? How do you see machine learning and AI transforming industries in Kenya and across Africa over the next 5 to 10 years? So I think I'll start with Kevin.
So thanks so much, Namesake, for that. And just to mention is, I can use a context, because when I went to reInvent last year, I was telling a friend of mine, I was going back in time in terms of time zones, but I was going ahead of time in terms of technology. Because what I witnessed there was how the world will be and how Africa will have done it in the next 5 or 10 years. Because when I went to one booth and someone say, let us take a picture of you, and then this AI bot will sketch you in real time. Took a picture, go to the other side, and it did us. And I still have it. And they say this was drawn by a bot that had some things on AI and computer recognition. So what I see in terms of how machine learning and AI will transform industries is when we start building on our data. I know you're going to talk about data, but the most important thing is, do we have enough data? I know there's this talk around, please, let's build our own LLMs. Why are we using Mistral or Cloud or whichever? But I don't think it's important to reinvent the wheel. The most important thing is to produce solutions, as Robin said early in the morning. Yeah. Thank you.
So just to follow up on that, so which sectors do you think are still untapped or are underutilizing AI, either in Kenya or in Africa?
There are key industries. First of all, education. I was having, like within our org, I became the AI champion kind of sorts, telling people, please, let's learn about this. But the thing is, we still have, and it's interesting because we're in a university context, we have professors who tell people, if I find you using AI, yeah, you relate, right? So you're saying, yeah. But the thing is, we had a discussion, I think, with, I don't know who it was, but they say, like, the thing, we should not be using AI to look for shortcuts, right? It's not like you're using AI so that you can send out that assignment from the first output from that prompt. The thing is, it is helping you to do that faster so that you, as Vanna said, you stop doing the boring things, then you can do the better things that will make you use your brain better. So those industry education. The second one, I know financials are doing better at it. I was at a certain event, I was invited, a UiPath. You know, banks are doing a lot of robotic process automation. I think it was given a new baptismal name by called agentic AI, but RPA was kind of the agentic AI before AI became the big thing. And they're doing a lot of that in the banking industry. And I know Muridi will talk about, because we talk about the partners. And what I see is healthcare can also be an amazing addition, because if you're hearing people get, for example, I leverage Lindy. I don't know how many know Lindy? The Lindy, the AI agent. So I created a Lindy, like I used a template. Lindy sends me papers on AI every Wednesday at a particular time, 3 of its best papers that it has found for the week. And then it shows me this is what the abstract is all about. If you want, can read, this is the full paper link. So there's one that was showing me about cancer recognition, breast cancer, early detection of breast cancer and all this. And you already know, you always say Kenya, not Kenya, but even Africa, we are plagued with a lot of health issues, right? Right now, health is the most expensive thing. And I was with Nelly, I think she left. We were at a certain hospital visiting a friend, and we were discussing about, she was saying her friend was required to pay 2 years in advance of SHA. That's a whole story altogether, we know, right? And I said, let me open my pay slip and see how much I'm paying for SHA. I felt like I shouldn't have opened it in the first place. But yeah, those are the areas: education, healthcare, and each other, like even the bankings and all that. So those are the industries I can talk about.
I think Samuel can also give an opinion on how do you see machine learning and AI transforming industries in Kenya and Africa across the next 5 to 10 years?
All right, thank you very much. So first off, right now we are in the AI revolution age, and we are talking about things that you can see AI do, but the actualization of it, especially within the African region, is not there yet. I think in other regions, maybe the US, Europe, the implementation or the adoption is very high. So here, the things we are talking about, what AI can do, I think within the next 5 to 10 years, we'll actually be able to see it. And some of the industries that is mentioned, like healthcare, being able to actually maybe use AI to determine what kind of diagnosis a scan has. Maybe someone is suffering from something, they do a scan, AI is able to actually do that without human intervention. I think also banking. Agentic AI is on the onset of, automating activities. So you'll find that you don't have to actually go to a teller to do some of these things. You can actually just talk to an agent. It actually interacts with the core banking systems, and it does the automation of all the tasks that will have been done. Yeah, so those are some of the industries that I think will have a big impact, will be impacted mostly by AI. Thank you.
Yeah, so actually before we proceed, so what Kevin mentioned about, the professors, lecturers saying that we should not use AI. So actually when I was printing these papers today in school, I went to one department and I found one there who was complaining that, so for let's say KCA, our coursework is out of 50, then the exam is 50. So a student goes on to get 35 in their coursework. Then when the results come out, apparently he gets an F. So meaning the exam might be 0, might be 1, who knows. So moving on. So the next question, so AI, ML, it's all about data. So data is the backbone of AI. What are the unique challenges of collecting and preparing quality data in the African context? Data is the backbone of AI. What are the unique challenges of collecting and preparing quality data in the African context? So I think we can move to Moridi.
Hi, everyone. I was too close to the mic, sorry. So, in our context, we have some challenges when it comes to data. For example, I think all of us, you've walked into an office and you found files in cabinets. That's data stored in there. Anyone has ever lost their marks in university? Not the one we normally tell our parents marks zimepotea, but the one you actually lost your marks. So yeah, that's data stored in there. That is, and that's kind of a bit of a call to action. We have, for example, OCR that can help us digitize that, because a lot of the data is in file cabinets actually. The second problem that I see when it comes to data is that some of the data is obsolete. Again, in the sense that we have data that has been, for example, generated when we had, let's say, in our African context, only when it comes to inheritance, it could only go to the men or the boys, right? That will be outdated data. And you don't want to have models that have that bias in them, right? You'd want fairness and equality without the bias in the data. So that's the second challenge, and I'll end with a call to action. I think, and the third problem I see when it comes to data is we have a lot of inaccurate data and data that is incomplete as well. When you go to a hospital and you have insurance, what happens? They give you a form of the insurance provider, and then you fill in the data, and then you wait for 10 minutes in the queue. Someone will type that data in, right? It happens in every office. They will then type that data in, and there'll be mistakes. If you're applying for an ID, it will come saying Morothi instead of Morethi, and then you have a problem there, right? So that's the other thing. A lot of the data that is there, it's either incomplete, some of the fields were not completed, and I guess that's where we all come in. So I see a lot of work required to clean up the data, update data that has been outdated, and that will require data scientists We have data that's in file cabinets. I think I saw the Kenya AI roadmap for 2025 to 2030, and the readiness score that we have for data readiness was at 40%. So we've got a lot of work to do, right, in those 3 areas.
Just to add on that, how do you think, how can we overcome the lack of, labeled data sets, especially for local languages or local scenarios? Yeah.
All right. So I was actually impressed that I saw that we have data that is, or rather LLMs that are in, for example, in Swahili. I saw Zulu, I saw Xhosa, and that is great. And again, I'm referencing the roadmap because for Kenya, for example, and this we've seen when the AI media explosion happened, every single country rushed to create their own AI strategy. We've seen Egypt has created theirs, Morocco, Kenya has theirs. It's across the continent. Everyone is creating their own strategy. And one common theme across each of those strategies that they've provided is they want contextualization. They want, this is how people, or whatever model you're building, this is how people, this is our culture, this is our norms, this is how we communicate, they want that context included whenever you're working in AI systems. So I think just going by the governance put out there by regulation, I would say contextualization and making sure that cultural norms are in there. Again, now that poses a challenge that I just talked about, that there's some things that are outdated, but again, we're also generating more data now than we did previously, but we still have some of those, I would say, cultural practices that we've kind of been eroded by time in there. So, yeah.
I think Cynthia can also add something on that, how to overcome the lack of labeled data sets, especially for local languages and or local scenarios.
Sorry, come again. Come again. Yeah.
So, how can we overcome the lack of labeled data sets, especially for local languages or scenarios?
I think it all comes into play when we bring in local experts to be able to clean in the data, just to make sure that every group has been included. Yeah, you can just say that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I think since Kevin seems to have traveled a lot, so I'll pose this question to you. Are there any African initiatives working on open data sets or collaborations in this space?
Yeah, there are some. Like I attended the AI Kenya summit that happened in January, the very first time, and what I saw is amazing innovations in the like there's a certain one on soil health that was going on, and the thing, and also another one called Skiza AI. I think the Skiza one was doing about a call center, automated call center that someone can speak in Swahili and they're being answered by an AI agent. And the thing about, the whole theme around that conference was data, 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 data. And the thing, and a certain organization, I think the one for soil health, they said they have done all the hard work of collecting the data. Then the elephant in the room of the question was posed. Would you be willing to give out that data as an open source data? And she didn't have an answer because we were, and when she was about to say yes, you were like, are you sure? How much money did you spend to collect and create that data set and clean that data set? That is the big issue. And as also to add to what to what Muridia said, that is incomplete data, and also data that doesn't have like it has biases and all these different kind of things. The most important thing that is needed for us is, and I can ask a question here, how many of you are using an AI system within your organization and it has been sanctioned by that organization? You're not using shadow AI. Like you have a policy, you have been told, hey, we have this local LLM, you have used it, you can use that. Don't use ChatGPT. Don't put our employee payroll on ChatGPT and ask for a summary. How many are using non-shadow AI that has been sanctioned by your organization? Can see 1, 2. Okay, don't talk about AWS. I know AWS is you're so. What about how many of you? Let's and be honest. Don't worry. I don't think anyone will take a picture. How many of you are using shadow AI? Like your organization, you're using AI, and the organization has not told you to use that. Yes, I can see you're smiling. Yes, my people on that side, please be honest. You're doing that, right? I also do it. Don't worry. I even try all of them. I try Perplexity. I try all of them. I even try Po and put everything there. But I don't put all. I try to anonymize or something. But what I can tell you that the truth is, and I was telling that in that meetup, is this thing about data, it's not about the AI engineers only. It's also UI UX. We had a discussion with someone. Like if the UI UX is so, like have you ever opened a certain site and you see text boxes, like a million text boxes on one page, and they say, I'm not going to fill, or if you're filling, you're going to leave one behind. Do you see that? And that's a UI UX issue. It's nothing to do with the AI, right? The data will be cleaner if the UI UX was better. So what does that tell you is we need the UI UX people. We need all the people in other disciplines to make this work for us. And that's what I can say and I can add. Like, don't feel like you have to transition. You know, people think like you have to now start. I usually do you see those posts on LinkedIn where how to get started? Go learn statistics, deep learning, go back to what? Yes, all those different crazy stuff. And I tell you don't have to do that because there's something that you can bring in. And I love what Vanna said, that we have the brain, we have perception, we have other senses that an LLM doesn't have. Yeah, so those are some of the things that we need. And please, on Monday, go follow up on a sanctioned AI. You can even be the first person to talk about an AI strategy in your organization. Let's start from the grassroots. Let's stop using shadow AI, and that is how we can be able to make, so that next time you come here, I can invite you to a panel and tell us how you're using AI in your organizations.
Okay, I think that's those are valid.
Just allow me to just mention one thing. Building on Kevin's point that sometimes you've got organizations that have spent a lot of time building data that can be actually put out there and used for good, but there's no responsible data sharing protocols that are available. For example, in the university here, I don't know if you have a protocol to responsibly share data between universities, because you do your research, right? And they do their research. And another university, there's got students doing their research papers there. That's data being lost, actually. If you could, and I called someone to take action, actually. Call your VC or someone to get together and actually in the AI initiative to come up with a data sharing protocol, responsible data sharing protocol. You don't want to infringe on anyone's rights or privacy or anything like that, but open the channels to share whatever discoveries you're making between various universities. You'll get to have a better collective collaboration on and actually addressing some of those challenges we're talking about availability of data itself.
Okay, yeah, so I think we can now move on. So on that issue of, collecting the data, making the AI, so some things might come up, let's say policies, we also have ethics. So I would like to know, so what are some of the ethical considerations or risks in AI development that are especially important in our region, and how should we address them? So actually when I came up with this question, it was because of something that I had watched, and I think we all know of I think Julius Robert Oppenheimer. I think we all know him. For those who don't know him, he's the father of the atomic bomb. And so, when let's say when the atomic bomb was being built, all the projects being funded by the government, which we can also, how all the governments are funding the building of AIs, companies also. Of course, he was celebrated. But after what happened in, is it Nagasaki and Hiroshima? So, of course, everybody came for him. Oh, you did this, you did that. So, he's now an evil person. So, for people like OpenAI and the others, Amazon included, what are some of the ethical considerations that are being made when, building the AIs, collecting the data? And what do you consider the risks that might come from that AI? I think I can move to Samuel.
All right, thanks, Kevin. So first off, talking about the data that we use when you're interacting with the AI, what kind of data are you feeding it into? So most of the time when you find you trying to use the common AIs, ChatGPT, Gemini, you try to you try to mask your data so that you don't put the company name there, and then it gives you output. But then still that there is a security risk to that. So I would say some of the key things that should be considered, especially at organizational level, is guardrails that should be put in place, especially, and nowadays there's Bedrock is here, so you can actually integrate already existing LLMs to your data and actually use it instead of using the ChatGPT and the likes, and also apply guardrails on Bedrock. So you can define what kind of data can be queried from Bedrock. You can put policies for PII, maybe sensitive data, health data, financial data. You can put policies on top of that. And you can use even tools like, there's a tool called Amazon Mercy. You can use it to identify PII within your data and also mask it. And there are other things that you should also consider in when it comes to compliance. I think a lot of people are not aware of the compliance policies that are there, especially within the region when it comes to data. There are a lot of regulatory policies that are out there. I think you might be aware of GDPR, PCI, DSS, all that, HIPAA. But most organizations, don't look into that, especially when they are trying to use AI responsibly. So those are some of the things that I think should be key. And also security of your data. So encrypt your data where it's seated. If you're storing your data in the cloud or wherever, make sure it's encrypted while at rest, also while in transit. Yeah. So thank you.
So I think we still need more or more on that. So when you guys are saying about, let's say for Kenya or an institution to create, their own LLMs and make their own AI and all that. So for an instance, when starting a business, you go to the Kanjo, tell them I want to start a business, pay this amount and you can start a business. But for AI, we won't know you're actually doing it. So I don't know who is fit to answer this, but any of you can. So in Kenya, or do you know of any country where people are actually going to the government or the necessary authorities telling them we're building this, we're using this data? Because I think it's in the UK or something, they're trying to force Apple to giving them their data or something like that. So do you know of a country, or let's say Kenya, or let's focus on Africa, a country which is actually telling companies or organizations, tell us you're actually using this data in your building and the AI model or you're doing this so that you can actually follow up and make sure that you're not doing something that goes against our policies. Who is fit to answer that?
I don't know, how many have ever opened the ODPC website, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner? First of all, let's say opening first. Okay, then the second thing is, how many have opened the page on the guidance notes? So the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner in Kenya has published not one, not two, like around 7 guidance notes on how any organization, whether it's public sector, private sector, just go search it even right now, ODPC draft guidance notes, and you'll see they've already shared, they're still in draft, but they're very good. And you can be guided on, if you're using data, this is how you should do it. This is how, and like there are 10, 12 page documents, you need to check them out. The problem that we do have, especially in Africa, is we do good documentation, and then we go into the shells, right? We never implement them. Like, or even we don't communicate this. Like some of you say, I don't think you are a part of the public participation of those guidance notes, but they're out there, right? And you don't know whether they're going to end or whichever way. But the thing is, we need to take action and put our voice out there. And right now, we are a very big community as the AWS community. So if you say, we look at those guidance notes, this is how you can make it better, ODPC will listen to you and say, yes, the AWS community is already doing something, the organization, the others. In the AWS user group AIML, the moment the Kenya National AI Strategy was launched on Thursday, that Saturday I organized an AI strategy discussion. It was very interesting, beautiful document, beautiful, even says where you should start when it comes to, even has an implementation plan. But I don't know whether it has started being implemented, but that's a story for another day. So that is our capability. Check the guidance notes, go up in that national AI strategy. It has even three use cases on where we should start as a country and where the government is going to be putting more money, especially on training, capacity building, and public-private partnerships. And that is why you know AWS is doing also a lot of public sector and also working with government to regulate that. And definitely they don't want to work in a vacuum. They want to work on under a certain strategy. So that's what they tell you. Please read these documents. Put your voice out there on them. Yeah.
Cynthia, can you add something on that?
Thank you. I can just build on what Kevin has said. That's basically what transparency is all about when it comes to responsible AI. Yes, we build usage policies, but it is our responsibility to make sure that how we're utilizing the data to build our models is made known to the data owners. Yeah, it all boils down to that. Thank you.
Okay, so I think this can go to Gitonga. So have you ever encountered an ethical dilemma while working on an AI system?
I personally haven't, but I think on the early onset of some of the models that were released, there was some, how do I say, there was some incidences where we would find bias and profiling of individuals. And this was called out and rectified by the AI models, and I think that's where the main risk is. And when I go by the best practice guidance, you'll hear me use those words a lot actually, from a well-architected point of view. We've got the responsible AI 8 dimensions that define or rather guide the responsible AI. We have fairness, explainability, and for a long time, or rather when Gen AI became a whole thing, it was still a black box. You don't know how are you arriving to this conclusion? We want to make sure that for ethics purposes, we can see the reasoning behind it, right? There is safety as well. Whenever safety is involved, you want to have a human in the loop every single time, right? For example, when Dr. Wana was talking about the solution where you send a text message if you're pregnant and you get advice. They have a nice system in the loop where whatever you've described turns out to be a safety issue or dangerous to you. They actually immediately get you in touch with someone to call you and advise you to go see a doctor. Those are some of the human in the loop solutions, or ways to think about it, and safety. And we've got other things like controllability, we've got the privacy, the veracity of the data, and the consistency of it. You want your inputs to be accurate, your outputs to be accurate. It doesn't matter how the input came in. And if you don't know where to start, I would advise you to go and look at the Gen AI lens, for example. We have a machine learning lens and a well-architected, and it lays this out very nicely. And you can get to see, not only the best practice guidance, but how to people process and the technology come together to ensure that you've got a seamless integration of all that and all the stakeholders when it comes to ethics around AI. People first strategy when you're deploying AI systems. That should be the main focus at any particular point. And these developers, data scientists, involving the community, make sure that you're essentially involving everyone during the build, and everyone is knows and incentivized on, hey, these are the responsible AI best practices. And any organization that is planning to endeavor, or rather, everyone hopefully at some point will have an AI systems that they build. They should define these very clearly. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good enough answer. So I think on what at least the Kenyan government is trying to do, things to do with AI, what they've now rolled out. I think I don't know most of you saw it, but I saw there an AI that is supposed to translate from English to the local languages, the local languages we use here. So apparently it was being tested out, cameras from Citizen and TV, the local channels are there, but when it comes to testing, maybe it didn't work well, trying to translate, doing other things, not saying what it's supposed to deliver. So basically it wasn't delivering well. So for such people, how can small startups or individual developers begin working with machine learning even with limited resources or data? Cynthia.
Anyway, thank you. This is a very important question, and I believe some of us here are developers. And for one, what I will tell you is that there is a lot of free resources. There's a lot of free open source resources out here. Yeah, for example, there are tools such as TensorFlow, there's Scikit-learn, which have built-in tools. They have models that could be able to assist you in terms when it comes to your development, and this would greatly reduce your development time. And also, we have a large number of repositories with public data sets. I don't know if any of you know Kaggle. There you can find like any datasets that you want to help you build your AI model. And again, we have already pre-trained models. By using pre-trained models, you don't have to spend a lot of time to train and build your models. You also don't have to spend a lot of money to purchase compute resources to be able to train and build your models. The other thing I tell developers or startups who are looking into getting into machine learning is to focus on niche problems. We already had that today. You don't need to solve everything at once. Just identify a specific problem. With that problem, even with the little data that you have, you can still be able to make a difference in the society. Even if you have little data, there's very many ways you can also get this data. You can ethically scrape the publicly available data. You can also work with organizations to be able to receive the kind of data that you want to build your models. The other thing I would tell the developers is to lean in on collaboration and community. We've had already all this today. We are here. This is a forum. This is a community. Also, go for meetups. What else? Go for hackathons. I believe these forums pave the way for you to be able to learn a lot from your peers. And with this, again, you can also be able to collaborate on some of the projects that are out there. The other thing for the developers, I talk about AWS. With AWS, there are free tiers available for you for some of the machine learning resources. For example, the Amazon SageMaker AI. This is used for building and training models. You get, I think, up to 2 months. Okay, I'm not sure. But there's also others, for example, the Amazon Lex for building conversational AI chatbots. And I think this one you can get up to 12 months, even more. There's also a great list where you can be able to utilize free resources on AWS. Again, we've already seen that these are machine learning programs that you can be able to join. There are also free learning materials that are available on SkillBuilder. And with all this, it really gives you a strong foundation to be able to move into machine learning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a good answer. I think still get an opinion from someone that how can small startups or individual developers begin working with machine learning even with limited resources or data?
What I know is AWS is big on startups, right? We had Gitonga here, is the head of startups here in Africa and even in EMEA. And there's a lot of different things. Like even when I watched the existing, someone was asking me, a guy, a friend of mine called Patrick, Kevin, how can we get a Gen AI loft, a startup loft in Kenya or in Africa? I was like, oh, that's a long shot, because he was watching a video. You know, AWS has these amazing videos about how the startup loft is supporting startups to build solutions that are impacting the industry. I think there's one in San Francisco. I think there's another in different places. Is it in San Francisco or is it Seattle? I don't know. Yeah, it's close. But there's a good video that something was done, like a lot of things that were being done. Go check out those. I think there's a website that shows all the startups. I don't know which one it is. But what I can tell you is the most important thing is to upskill. And the beautiful thing is, I think AWS recently launched the AWS AI and ML Scholars. How many are part of it already? How many don't know about it? Just know about it today. What about those who have not raised their hands? So, just Google it out, AWS AI and ML Scholars. So there's a challenge phase of, I think, 50,000 participants across the globe. And then after the challenge phase, AWS is going to sponsor you for a university and a degree on machine learning. And you start out on the challenge phase, build something on Party Rock, do some prompt engineering here and there. And that's the best thing. And the thing about what Cynthia said, we offer you platforms. I'm the user group leader for AIML. If you come and tell me I have a solution that I've already put out there, it is doing this, can you organize a meetup, or can I present in the next month's meetup? I'll definitely give you the platform to do that, whether virtual or physical. I can even do physical, because AWS will support me to do that. But if you're not building something that is solving a particular problem in Kenya, or it's creating, because our idea is, our tagline is transformational AI, transforming ideas into impact using AWS AI and ML solutions. So that tells you that you have to look, there's always, you were saying there's no shortage of problems, right? No shortage of problems in there. Just go out there and you really hear. Like a certain, right now, there's a big ethics problem. A certain senior in Northeastern College sued the professor for using AI to create notes. And yet they say they are paying fees. He was actually asking for $8,000 worth of refund of all that he has studied from the first year to fourth year. And the lecturer, actually the professor had to acknowledge that yes, they used AI, and he said he regretted not looking at it closer because he had fake citations from ChatGPT and other places, and stray square brackets, those kind of things. Would you be happy if a lecturer teaches you using AI that could have done the prompt engineering in paid fees? Would you be happy? No, right? Same case what one was saying. Would you be happy if a Gen AI is helping you drive the car and it is generating a road just between this hall, and it wants the cars to go between this hall? You'll not be happy, right? You'll be like, oh, let me take over, right? So yes, let's upskill, let's use these platforms, and we are ready. I can promise you, anyone will come to me or the whole of this year and say they have a solution they've built. However busy, even if it's on party rock or on bedrock, however simple it is, but it is solving some problem, I'll give you that platform.
Okay. I don't know if anyone wants to know that.
I could add something. So I think when it comes to being able to experiment, it's very important. I think we learn by failing. We learn by trying something, and then you fail, you learn from it. My advice is experiment as much as possible. Experiment as much as possible. Ask where you need guidance. Fail quickly. You'd rather fail quickly. I think failing quickly is one of the cultures we have at AWS. Fail quickly. And I think that strategy is being used by a lot of organizations, because on the advent of AI, everyone was trying to get it to attach it to something. We have HR solution, we need AI, we have this, we need AI, now a lot of those initiatives just died a natural death completely. They never got to go anywhere. I think we had want to say, don't let the news dictate whatever you're doing. I think as a developer, it's good to slow down, start small as small as the problem you're trying to solve. Experiment, test. I think when I was in university, I think I learned a whole programming language on YouTube. Just curiosity. I didn't know what to do. You go write your hello world and you start there, and we all start with the hello world, right? So you need to have a hello world moment in this as well, and then build on that. It takes time. It's okay to feel like information is coming at you from all directions, and now you're working on this, and now that has come out. Now I am in panic. Now I have to go and try that as well. Anyone feel that way sometimes? Yeah? Yeah, so pick something, go as far as you can with it to solve the problem. If you don't like it, pick something else. And don't be worried, there's a lot of noise outside at the moment. So just pick one, start from hello world, go all the way to as complex as you can. But make sure you have that hello world moment. Alright? Yeah.
Okay, so I think, most of us being young, I think you've gotten something on that about startups. So I think we'll now proceed to our final question before we move to a brief Q&A question, session, sorry. So I saw a very interesting post on Instagram about AI. I think it was one prompt of ChatGPT uses 100 liters of water, and so going to the comments, I think so people didn't understand. So how does ChatGPT use water? So does anybody know how ChatGPT uses water? It's a serious question, by the way. Serious question. Anybody? So yeah. So I recently attended Decode by Safaricom, and they were talking about how they are moving their servers to Limuru. So for those who don't know Limuru, it's known for having very low temperatures. So it's a very cold area in the highlands. And I had also seen another thing, let me call it a test project by Microsoft, where they were submerging their servers in containers underwater. So all this just to preserve the amount of energy and the energy being used by the servers. I also visited IBM Center with some of the students from here, and we saw their server room and how cold it is, and we were curious on how much money they use on electricity monthly. Of course, they host, so IBM hosts some, I think KCB is one of the big organizations or companies that uses the servers by IBM. And so we were curious on, so when it comes to the environment, UNEP, have NEMA in Kenya. So how does these big organizations or the developers and anybody working on AI using big servers, so what considerations are being done on the side of environment, using might be using water for the cooling. Others might decide to use solar. So what is being done, for example, by Microsoft on that side of the environment to protect the environment against the high intense servers that need a lot of electricity? I think I'll start somewhere.
All right, thank you very much. So whatever you've said, the fact that you use a lot of energy to actually train these models, and it's not just the models, but even the entire setup of services within cloud. When you say cloud, it's just a server somewhere, seated somewhere. And right now, cloud is the best place to train your models, and it consumes a lot of energy. It has a lot of repercussions in terms of what it does to the environment. So what I've seen, I think AWS is trying to build a solar-powered energy provider in South Africa. That's what I was at the summit last year. They were talking about the plan to invest in an independent energy provider within South Africa, so that one way to avoid the power surges, but at the same time promote environmental sustainability. So getting to leverage green energy in powering some of these resources. I think that's one of the things that I've seen companies try to approach it in terms of conserving the environment and at the same time being able to actually build systems that can handle such workloads.
So I can add what Brian is saying. I'm currently doing my PhD in computer science. My focus in sustainability AI. And when I was doing a certain research, I was looking, there's a certain paradox, it's called if you make something more efficient, then more people will use it, and then that efficiency will be lost. Terer, you understand it, right? Yes? We thought Terer will solve lives, but we still have more jam, right? So you relate to that. Even if you had 20 lanes, we'll have more people will buy more cars and we'll still be in a jam. So even as you also think about green energy, you know, like we talk about GTC and Jensen saying, yeah, we're now building these more powerful chips. And now we are telling people now we are now dealing with a way how we can train it half the cost, deep sea, right? So there's this other era of looking at how are you doing the training, how are you also deploying the model, and also those other things. I love how Van has talked about it, like cost is an non-functional requirement, and also another thing is sustainability becomes also another non-functional requirement. And if you look at that and you look at those two aspects, you have to ask yourself, will you train a model, spend 10,000 liters of water for people to create cat pictures? Should that be the whole thing about it? You should do something that was worth the 10,000 liters of water, right? So those are the things that we need to think about and see. Are the solution that we're building going to, and it also went out to what you're saying, that if you put out unlimited data, then people use it to watch Netflix 24/7, then definitely that if it were like limited, that person would say, let me only watch one episode, and then I'll do much more. And I love what Philip Tigo is the ambassador is the UN envoy for Kenya on matters AI. Said you are number 2 globally on internet usage, right? But are we using the internet for all the best things? Where are my TikTokers? TikTokers are. So you just swipe and swipe and swipe. That even Safaricom has become innovative with TikTok bundles. So what does that tell you? Like bundles specifically for TikTok, very cheap. And they wonder like, okay, then how does it really go? But that the thing that we're talking about in terms of sustainability is think about it fast. Think about it at every step. Don't think about at the data center, say AWS will sort themselves out. They are the ones who have to deal with, you know, the story about nuclear. If they decide to go nuclear with the world, you don't care. You know, nuclear energy to power the data centers, you don't care about that. You have to care about it as a developer. You also have to care it. You should stop creating those cat pictures and do something better. Thank you.
Yeah, so actually, I remember something. So, for now we're talking about Kenya, and we can focus on. We're also focusing on Africa. So we talked about some of the big companies, Amazon, Google. Can they actually open up a data center maybe, or bring servers to our countries, and Africa to actually grow? So I think it was around this time last year. I usually game with my friend, and at that time it was still on holiday. He had gone to visit his aunt in Tanzania. And so, of course, it's an online game, so we can actually play. We don't have to play the same role. But believe it or not, sometimes I could call him and he would tell me, "Hakuna stima, there are no lights." Why? Rationing. So, and surprisingly, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I think Tanzania is among the first countries to have an electric train in Africa. But they usually have, rationing of electricity in their country, but they have an electric train. So I don't know how ironic. But still, I will call my friends, I want to hear, hakuna stima, there are no lights. Why? Zimezimwa. Wait for the evening. But yeah, unfortunately we're here. But I think also they are, I think we were a bit small, don't remember quite well, but I don't know.
To do this to make sure that the environment is friendly enough for some of these companies to be able to join us. I mean, you can find very strict regulation that simply chase away these industries, right? So what we need to do is to make it friendlier. If it's about taxation, how do we ensure that as much as you want to make benefit from them, do we really need to squeeze them that much that you can always? So I think that's one of the things that we do.
I was actually encouraged by the 2025-2030 strategy document that was produced by the ICT authority, and they do realize some of the challenges that are there, especially on infrastructure and ensuring that we have consistent renewable energy. And I think they have a deliberate plan to work on that. I'll leave it there. Now, they say that you should worry about the things that you can control. And what we can control right now is ensure that we have the skills, we have the recipe, on the recipe we have the right ingredients, right?